All right, let's take a look at what weekly news magazines are saying around the world with our very own Florence Villeminot. Hi, Flo.
Hi, Jeannie.
First of all, lots of focus, obviously, on Russian President Vladimir Putin in the spotlight as the world starts to look at the beginning of the Winter Olympics in Sochi.
That's right. A lot of people are calling these Winter Olympics the Putin Games. But just who is Vladimir Putin? That's what Nouvelle Obs asked this week. They take a look at the hidden or dark side of the Russian president, calling him actually the 100-faced Tsar. Now, on top of the fact that, of course, he's at the Olympics, he's all over the press, showing up on horses with leopards, doing all sorts of manly and sporty things. But Nouvelle Obs points out that Putin is actually a very secretive man, and there are actually very few things we know about his emotions or his private life. For instance, just how did he come to power? What's his fortune? And what's his health like? Is he in good health? Well, Nouvelle Obs promises to lift the veil on all these secrets with a complete portrait and all the answers to all these questions and some great photos, of course.
I hope they have that one of him ice skating like this. All right, also in the lead up to the Olympics, of course, there's been a lot of criticism over Russia's anti-gay legislation. Jeune Afrique magazine focuses on the situation in Africa.
That's right. Jeune Afrique wonders, is Africa the homophobic continent? And it has this quote here by Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe saying that homosexuality is a flaw of white people. Homosexuals are worse than pigs and dogs. Now, inside Jeune Afrique takes a look at the situation in Africa where homosexuality is illegal in 38 countries. You can not only, you can go to jail, but also you can be sentenced to death in certain countries. And Jeune Afrique talks about the countless homosexuals who have been assassinated or harmed and others who live in fear. And it says that freedom has never been won without the courage and the sacrifice of exceptional people. And Jeune Afrique accuses many politicians of actually using this homosexuality debate to their own advantage. And because of this, homosexuality has really become part of the public debate. And there's been all sorts of angry tongue lashing. But Jeune Afrique points out that this is the first step to recognizing homosexuality as neither a crime nor a sickness.
All right, well, let's move on to news now here in France. L'Express magazine is investigating what happens to taxpayers' money. This interests me.
That's right. and L'Express, well, it doesn't mince its words. It's a big waste. That's on the front page of L'Express. Now, it's not really new that France spends too much, but according to L'Express, France spends taxpayers' money badly, and it has an exclusive study actually today just to show just how the French government spends people's tax money. It says that public policy is neither well thought out, nor is it well targeted, nor is it ever put into question. And it's high time that François Hollande cleaned things up a little bit. La Revue, meanwhile, points out that François Hollande's social democrat turn that he's taken since the beginning of the year is continuing to shake up the left and annoy the right. But La Revue really applauds Hollande for this shift and says that Hollande is president through thick and thin, against all odds somewhat, according to La Revue. It's good that he's taking things into his own hands, and in the end, he'll bear the fruit of his policy.
Okay, another business magazine, Alternative Économique, isn't so confident about François Hollande's policies.
That's right. Alternative Économique wonders, is Hollande making the right choices? Now, Hollande has been putting into place a lot of pro-business reforms in the hope that this will spark job creation and growth, etc. But Alternative Économique points out that there's a big risk that this virtuous cycle that Hollande is hoping for doesn't actually kick in.
All right. Now, for those who are interested in science, Courrier International and Le Point both have more of a scientific bent this week.
That's right. We're often afraid of them and try to do everything we can to get rid of them, but Courrier International takes a look at bacteria and says that actually bacteria are our friends. Our body is crawling with bacteria, according to Courrier International. We have 2 kilos of bacteria in our body if you lump them all together. But these freeloaders actually, well, they do a lot of good to our body, according to Courrier International. Scientists talk about an inner ecosystem that we must at all costs preserve. So it's very fascinating a read this week in Courrier International. Le Point, meanwhile, looks at the extraordinary power of our brain and shares with us all the recent developments and discoveries. Now, for instance, scientists are discovering that our brains are insomniacs and pretty much immortal. This is really interesting. Brain cells are constantly renewing themselves, much like the Sagrada Familia, according to scientists. And contrary to common thought, scientists say that the brain is the only part of the body that avoids the toll of time. So scientists really say that our brain has all sorts of hidden powers that they're continuing to discover. For instance, one thing they're discovering is the brain has the power to heal itself with positive thought. So once again, if you're into science and you're into your brain, well, check out Le Point this week.
All right, and just to wrap up, Flo, a little bit of gossip news from the Royals.
That's right. This is a Paris Match cover like you love it. They're young, well, at least she is. They're famous and they're in love and they have a royal baby. Now, this is, of course, Monaco's Charlotte Casiraghi, and French comedian Gad Elmaleh. Now, they're drawing a lot of attention because they went on vacation for the first time with their baby Raphael. They went to Gstaad, where they actually attended her brother Andrea's wedding, which Paris Match says was very much like a fairy tale. And if you're interested in that wedding, you can look at photos of it in Paris Match this week as well.
Royal weddings, always nice to dream. Thank you so much, Florence Villeminot, for that look at the weekly news magazines. Thanks to you for watching France 24. Have a great weekend.